So shared, there's a lot of challenges with finances, and I said I agree. And I want to kind of focus on what's happening right now in lending market. And if you guys can write down notes, I'm going to give a lot of information quickly and then do a Q&A. You're welcome, Chris Edge. So if you guys can write your notes, then we'll do some Q&A with like what's modified now. Holy cow, Don Ray Wheeler, you look so interested. And how many people are virtual? Awesome. So couple quick comments. We're going to go, there's three outcomes that we want to accomplish for today. Number one, if you guys can write this down, first outcome is making sure that you guys get information that you're able to implement immediately. Most of you guys are all real estate professionals or are wanting to get involved more with real estate. Outcome number two is to be entertained or entertaining. So as long as you, Eric, quit moving around. So as long as you guys find value in my presentation styles and bluntness, the more that you guys participate and show your faces, the more this will be engaging for everyone. This is my third Zoom call that I've been on today. So this is my second one speaking, first learning. So got a lot of Zoom calls doing. And then the third outcome is for you guys to actually be able to share this to other people, because there's a lot of people who are in a bad financial spot that they are because they just don't know any better. So we're going to make some assumptions for you guys, okay? So basically the topic is how to obtain 10 finance properties in today's market and set up a retirement plan, COVID-19 2020 style. So knowing this is based on mortgages, this is a CYA covering your assets. Jeff Braley was on the call, so if you guys want to get upset, you guys can just talk to him about my English grammar. So quick background for all of you guys. Most of you guys, I think, probably know who I am or know of me, but I've been a lender since the end of 2001. Bought my first rental property in 2004. Bought 13 properties in 2006. Want to share my 2006. I think 2006 is we're going to give a comparison to 2019 if you guys want to write that down. So 2006 is comparing 2019. In 2006, I bought 13 properties that year. I was extremely aggressive. At the time, you could do 100% financing on full doc loans, which I'd say is kind of the equivalent of all of you guys trying to do the Burr method with MACU 90, if that makes sense. So just kind of putting some things in perspective. MACU 90 kind of actually discontinued that program. I think they're now at 80% or following Fannie guidelines, which I think they're very smart. But I bought a ton of properties in 2006. I didn't have any. There wasn't the RIAs that I was familiar with. I didn't have anyone coaching me with like how to do that. I just was a very aggressive person. So that shares with a lot of things with that. So we're going to work backwards. So I started buying properties while it went up, hit the peak, went down, bottomed out, gone back up again. And I'm going to consider this cycle. I'm going to act as if we're going to have another 2008 to 2011, because I think if you prepare that way, you're going to be in a better financial spot versus if you think it's all going to be rosy, and if it happens, I'm going to be buying your houses. So if you guys would like me, actually, here's a good question. How many of you guys would like me to buy your houses next year, subject to with $5,000 down? Just push amen on there. Daryl's smiling because that will be happening if you guys don't do these things, and that's what I bought from a lot of people in previous experiences. Michelle's smiling. Eric's hair looks on point. Don Ray's like, damn, I wish I was not married. I know that's what all the women say. Tony Hellman's even grew some hair back for this phone call, so we got a lot of good things going on. So next point, here's my team. They're awesome to help out. They're listening to this phone call. But here's my first comment for all of you. And Eric Rivet, I cannot control what comes out of my mouth if your son gets offended by vulgarity, so he should just give him the earmuffs right now. First comment, all of you guys that are not a first-time homeowner should be consulting or sharing with your clients. You can still buy a owner-occupied property, 3.5% down FHA. I think that is the most amazing way to get into real estate for first-time homebuyers. Couple things. Oh, even we got Scott Williams on the phone. I know where your cash is at. So I think that buying first-time homeowners. So what I would be doing if I were you guys is I would actually pull a list of all the duplexes, triplexes, and fourplexes in the last 12 months, because those people are the ones who are going to get tight financially that you could buy their houses to subject to. Okay. Now, my focus is not, hey, how to buy subject to, but I just want to share, knowing what I knew now, I wish what I'm sharing with you are things I would take into consideration. So I still love buying an owner occupied fourplex with 3.5% down. Here's a couple stipulations you must have. Number one, if you guys can mute yourself, that'd be awesome, please, unless I call you out for more than 10 seconds. So, number one, you have to have what's called 75% of rents to offset the payment. So, for example, if you buy a fourplex that the gross rent is $750 per door times four, that's $3,000. FHA currently takes into consideration that you're going to have a 25% vacancy, okay, or you're not going to get rents all the time. So if you take 75% of the gross rent determined by two ways, one is the appraisal and the second is leases. They're going to take whatever's the most conservative way, really determined based on the appraisal. So if you take 75% of the rent, you have to have then two things. Number one, your down payment has to come from your bank account. It cannot be a gift on this scenario. And that guideline could change or get more strict. And then also, they actually want reserves on a triplex or a fourplex. So I think that all of you guys who are wanting to buy properties and get in the real estate game or get more in the game, this is a great example that you could tell your children to buy, or you could tack your niece or nephew, or frankly, you can buy by yourself. So FHA is an amazing way. Now, if you want to buy a duplex, I have a duplex right now for sale. It's listed, it's not listed on the MLS. It's under contract for $471,000. Okay. So the duplex is in downtown Salt Lake, and it's an awesome first time homeowner. You know, they're going to rent for like $1,400 a month, right? For a 2-1. Well, that's not the same as if you're buying in Ogden or Utah County. So you just need to be conscientious of that. Different example. There's a real estate investor who's probably on my other phone call. They bought a property in Idaho, and I'm going to call it BFE Idaho. The rents are not sustaining the mortgage payments, and they didn't know this information up front. So you got to take into consideration what your rents are for buying properties, okay? So number one, first-time homeowner. Here's tip number two. Make sure that the highest earner is the sole borrower on your primary residency. What does that mean? That means whoever makes more money should be the main borrower. So let's say Scott Williams and I know he's a good looking guy with a goatee. Let's say that I can't get a mortgage because my income is not documented because I'm bringing my cousins back and forth from Mexico. Okay. And for all you guys who know who I am, should be laughing because that was pretty funny. So if I have undocumented income, but Scott has a W-2 job, maybe he works as a bail bondsman and he runs all of his money through that and he makes $120,000 a year. Maybe if we were married and in a domestic partnership, I had to throw Jeff Braylio in there. If we were married in a domestic partnership, then I would want Scott to be the primary borrower on the mortgage because there's three reasons why in Utah. Number one, you can then get 10 properties in both borrowers' names. So Scott could get 10 properties in his name, hi Don Ray, and then I could get 10 properties in my name as I choose to document my income. Here's tip number two. This happened a lot during the last market correction. One of the spouses would file for bankruptcy, but not both of them. So what happened is one of the borrowers, in filing for bankruptcy, you need to consult your own attorney, but this is what I saw happen. When people would lose their houses, if both borrowers were not on the mortgages, they were actually still able to buy properties. They didn't hold it against them. So that's number two. Number three, it allows you to leverage and get more commercial property. So when you start doing 1031 exchanges or other things like that in the future, it's important for you to have whoever makes more money is the primary borrower. It's not an ego thing. It's also easier. So as people are asking questions, couple comments with that. Number one, on my own personal house, and I'm happy to share realistic information, my wife is not on my primary residency. When we got married, I knew I just was making a little bit more money than my wife at the time. So I'm on the primary residency. She's allowed to get 10 finance properties in her name because we're both credit separate. So these are different tips that you guys can do in today's market on having a primary borrower, okay? Tip number three, love this one. Learn from Warren Buffett and don't buy more house than what you need, okay? So right now, I actually talked to someone today that they bought their house in 2007 for 2008, excuse me, for $700,000. Okay, this property is in the south end of Salt Lake County. So here's a cool exercise. If this property is worth $700,000 in 2008, I want you guys to type in, what do you guys think it's worth currently? If you guys don't mind sharing, 2008 was 700,000. What do you guys think it's worth today? South end of the valley. Let's see what you guys come up with. Let's see. Man, I love your guys' nicknames. So let me share this again. 2008 is 700,000. What do you guys think it's worth currently in today's market? 2008, 700,000. All right, I'm going to share with what you guys are posting in here. Okay. So are guidelines calculating mortgages based on common ownership in an LLC as they did before? All right, that's an interesting one. Would you recommend refinancing to correct this now? So let me go over the guidelines. If I was going to do, I'm going to do guidelines later, Jeff Braley, if that's okay, on the LLC part. So would you recommend refinancing to correct? Yeah, I'm having a lot of borrowers refinancing to take different borrowers off the primary mortgage right now because rates are so low. Unless you need both their income, I like to have it leveraged separately. We're happy to help you that with the Matt Atkinson team at Intercap Williams. Happy to help Scott Williams because he has an amazing goatee. Don Ray Wheeler's like, say, no, I don't want to talk to you every quarter because you'll actually hold me accountable. All right, based on that one, there's a good laugh. So the value that you guys came up with was 900. I love these Zoom calls. It's fun. 950,000, 700,000, 700,000, 750,000, 850,000, 850,000, 1.3, 1.2, 900K, 900K, 1.1, 1.2, 910,000, 9 to 950, 700. Okay, it came in at 1.69. So if you guys bought a property in 2008 for 700,000 and it appraised for 1.69 today, here's a couple things that I would do. Number one, I'd sell that property. Couple reasons. One, the individual's married. If you have an owner occupied 2 of the last 5 years, you have a $500,000 exemption on capital gains. So they're going to pay they're going to pay taxes on the additional 500,000 based on their basis. And this is what's real estate investing is fun with financing. It's understanding how to leverage that. Number two, they don't need that big of a house. They're like, we're totally down to downsize. If you downsize, your utility bills go down, your maintenance goes down. Just, it's about simplification, right? Number three is they can take the money and then they can go buy more assets, right? I would love to have $1 million in my bank account. Question for you guys, based on your tax bracket, if you had $500,000 on long-term capital gains, how much do you think you'd have to pay in taxes? If you guys can type in what you think you'd have to pay, that'd be awesome, because this is a thinking sport, real estate investing. So everyone on here should be able to type in saying, I think this is what we would have to do. We have about 59 people on the call, which is fantastic. So you guys are going to be able to get a lot of different information and help out. So keep going, keep going. I love whoever has MMFA fanboy. I love that title. Thank you. Keep going. So we got 100K, 75K, 75K, 200K, 15K capital gains, 50K. Good. You guys need to consult your zero. Not in England. So that's important for you guys to take into consideration what you'll have to pay in taxes. So Jeff Bralio, I'm going to call you on the spot. Are you currently familiar with what tax codes are for 2020? No, he's not. All right, cool. That's a good answer. Thank you. So is anyone down? Yeah, that's okay. I don't have this memorized for everyone. I got more important things to do, like how to help you guys get your money back. So does anyone feel confident that they know what the current tax code is for a $500,000 long-term capital gains exemption, what you guys would pay in taxes? Jeff, I'm going to unmute you, or you can unmute yourself.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Jeff.
To my knowledge, it hasn't changed, but it's either 15 or 20% depending on your income tax bracket. Matt can correct me if I'm wrong. It's 15% capital gains tax if you make less than $250,000 a year, and a 20% capital gains tax if you make more than that.
Here's what's awesome. I'm going to let all of you guys confirm with your CPA because different rules change so frequently. I've not filed my tax returns and I haven't gone over that. So thank you, Jeff, for sharing. So let's go back from Warren Buffett. Learn from Warren Buffett. Don't buy more house than what you need. So that's tip number 3, right? So how to maximize financing in today's market. Becca Summers, get off your phone, unless it's your husband. All right. So tip number 4. Yeah, you guys like that one? I felt like it. Tip number 4. So here's the big difference of everyone else that's fiscally responsible and everyone else that's not. Have and stick to a personal budget. Actually, I'm going to go back real quick on this house for a second. I bought this house during the downturn from a real estate wholesaler. Actually, I'm going to share these because real quick. I bought this fourplex 2 years ago on an actual call like this. I did a coaching call for my consulting team, and they're like, "There's no fourplexes available." And I'm like, "That's bullshit." And I pulled up on the MLS and I did a search right then, and I called the realtor who I happen to know, could have been like Becca Summers, and I'm like, "Becca Summers, you want to sell it? Why is your house listed on the market?" She's like, "Well, I did a partnership and the other partner doesn't want to keep it and I want to keep it, but I don't want to buy them out because I don't have the capital." And I'm like, "Okay, well, how much do you want to sell it for?" And then Becca Summers, we're role playing, it wasn't her. She'd say, "Well, I'll sell it to you for the list price." And I said, "Okay, I'll buy it from you from the list price." Then she said, "Okay, but I want 2 hours of consulting." And I said, "I'd rather pay you more money than give you 2 hours of consulting." And then she said, hypothetically, "How about 1 hour of coaching and the list price?" And I said, "Okay, how about this? 2 minute 30 sessions with you and your spouse, and then I'll sell it to you." And that's what worked out. So what was good is I was able to meet with the realtor and we did a lot of planning and we met with them twice versus once because we brainstormed, then we gave them a bunch of action items, then we met again. Okay. So that's how we bought the fourplex. This property is on Paxton Avenue. I bought it for $51,500 in 2011. Ironically, we were into it $51,000 in remodels, and we only sold it for 150. This property right next to the baseball field in downtown Salt Lake is probably worth about 300,000. So it's crazy how much values have gone up. This property that I bought from a wholesaler, I wanted to share this with you as an example. Unfortunately, last year he committed suicide. He used to be a member of the RIA meetings, and I'm not sure why he committed suicide, but I had some mutual friends. That's how we found out. I know that during these economic times, like it's super important to be optimistic and work on what's going well. And I think like rather than a couple years ago, it's not all about the numbers, but it's being able to navigate what's important with life, right? So I think that real estate, you can solve a lot of problems for other people. And the cool thing is, this property that I bought, this guy randomly referred me. This guy lives in Hawaii now. He referred me someone yesterday that wants to buy a $550,000 duplex for financing, and I just randomly talked to him. So it's all about relationships, right? You want to make sure you can take care of people. So tip number 4, have and stick to a personal and business budget. If you think about like, hey, how do you get all these properties, Matt, like you do, is we're budgeting. So all of you guys are pretty familiar with the MJ Real Consulting website. You can go down and download a spending plan. Every single month, my wife and I go over our personal spending plan. If we didn't do it, I wouldn't talk about it because I'm not that. You guys aren't hearing me like go talk about like, hey, this is how you go and work out a bunch, right? I'm not like Daryl and posting Facebook videos on how I'm doing like sit-ups upside down on the jungle gym. It's pretty sick. I'm actually watching it, but that's not something I'm talking about. So have and stick to a personal budget. What happened during the last correction? Those who had to stick to personal budgets had bought more properties from other people. So something that we're doing personally with business, I review my profit and loss statement every single month with my controller. So I want to share 3 tips for you guys that you guys could implement starting now. Tip number 1. Oh, well, we got MMFA fanboy. Now I see who you are. Okay, tip number 1. Review your P&Ls with your controller on a monthly basis and make it a non-negotiable to do it by the 20th of the month. If your controller, CPA, or accountant is not able to do that, you need to find out what they need or what access do they have to have so then they can make that a priority. Tip number 2, do what's called a trailing 12-month statement. What that does is it's going to give you ideas of what your cash flow is so then you can start forecasting, are you, when you have these like banner months, are you in the money or are you blowing it? Tip number 3, track it from the previous year. So most of you guys are not already doing this. you can compare your financials from the previous year to this year on a rolling 12 months, but we actually compare them from the previous year. So these three different tips will help you guys stick to both personal and business. On the MJA Real Consulting website under spending plan, the tabs actually show what my budgets are from month to month. So quick question. How many of you guys on here are actually budgeting or monitoring that monthly? Type in I am or type in I'm not. Don't type in halfway. So you're either budgeting monthly. I'm watching all of you guys with what you're sharing. I appreciate this. I'm not, not, I'm not, I'm not, yes. Thanks for doing some difference. I am not. Okay, cool. So here's a good example. You guys, I'm not. Oh, you mean I'm not. Okay. I am not. Okay, so here's a good thing. You're gonna get the results that you've had previously. Now, if you want to improve your results, you got to make modifications, right? So tracking and sticking to a budget are two different things. So first you got to track, right? Bravo. First you got to track, and then once you track, then you can moderate that. Let's pick an example on a flip, and I don't want to go all off script, but let's pick this example. This property on property number 4, if you guys will notice this, I bought this from an investor who could be on this call. I just haven't gone through everything, but I bought 4 properties from them. I bought them 2 years ago. The reason I bought 4 properties from them, they actually did a Facebook post that you guys all have access to. It was not in a Facebook group. They're like, hey, who's looking to buy some fixer uppers in Salt Lake? And I said, what's the best way for me to help you? And then they sent me a direct message. Then we chatted, and I bought all 4 properties from them. I bought all 4 properties with seller financing. I brought in gap funding. I took the properties and we sold them. And actually, some of you guys went on the bus tour last year. You guys walked all these properties last year in 2019. Okay. So the cool thing is, imagine though, if I did not have a budget remodeling my properties, I would not be in the position I'm in today because I'm measuring or monitoring money, right? Those are different things. It sounds not very interesting, but it's super important for you guys to get the results you're looking for. Tip number 5, okay, this is important because this doesn't happen until people file for bankruptcy. Tip number 5, if co-signing for someone make sure they make the payments directly to the lending institution and to be able to get the documentations for 12 months before you're getting financing. Well, what does that mean? What that means is, so let's see, Harry Payne and I. So let's say Harry Payne and I have bad credit and I need to use this credit, okay? Because he has good credit. So I'm going to co-sign with Harry. So here's 2 ways to do it. I could make the payments to Harry for my 540 BMW for $800 a month. I could make the payments to Harry, and then Harry's going to make the payments to the lending institution is one way to do it, right? Now, Harry's going to feel comfortable saying, hey, if Matt makes the payment to me, I know that I'm going to control or get that money. Now, let's go the other way. What's up, Dan Lou? The other way is if I make the payments directly to the lending institution and I make the payments for 12 months, then that's not going to get counted against Harry's debt to income ratio because you can show that I made those payments responsibly, okay? So you guys please write that down. If you're going to co-sign, whoever co-signs you co-sign with, have them make the payments directly to the lending institution. You got to paper trail it for 12 months. That means canceled checks. If you pay cash, you are screwed, okay? 1 month cash, no bueno. You've got to go show 12 months of canceled checks. So quick example. How many on here have actually ever co-signed for a loan for someone else? Just type in if you have or have not co-signed for someone else. I want you guys to stay engaged, man. And if you have or have not, that's important, so then we can give some good examples to happen. Okay? Good. We got a bunch of have-nots. You have. We got some have-nots. Okay, cool. So different scenario. Yesterday, someone asked me to borrow $2 million on a $3 million property in Park City. Okay? So I said, I'm open, but why do you need the money? And they told me why they needed the money. I'm like, I don't know about you, but I don't think Park City's move. Actually, I have 2 people doing Park City loans that want me to do loans right now. I'm like, I don't think Park City's moving right now, guys. Right? Like, second homes, no one's traveling. It's amazing. You can get a really good discount right now, but you might be able to get a better discount in 12 months or so. So they said, well, let's talk about this. Who do you know that would be interested in getting a long-term mortgage for $2 million? And I'm like, scratching my head like I am right now. I'm like, why would anyone want to do that? And then I worked backwards. I don't want to say why would anyone want to do that. So if you guys want to write this down, why would you want to do that? Okay, so I'm going to share with them what we did just to do brainstorming. Why would someone want to co-sign on a $2 million mortgage? Tip number one, what if they need cost segregation studies for the next tax year to help offset their income? Possibly, right? Tip number two, what if they have a 1031 exchange that they want to sell the property, roll the money into Park City, rent it out for 12 months, and then move into it? Possibly a really good option too. Tip number three, what if they actually have a need to do a cost segregation study and a 1031 exchange and then be able to move into in a couple years? So just shared a lot of different information on why someone would or wouldn't want to co-sign. Now, if you guys are like, I don't understand what you said, that's really good. That means we're learning and your guys are growing. But as I worked with that investor, I worked backwards. I said, okay, here is the type of person that would be interested in co-signing for a loan like that. And they're like, well, that actually totally makes sense. Those are some different things to consider. Okay. So as we're halfway through this presentation, we're going to go straight till 1 because I got another call at 1. Want to kind of recap what we covered right now. Number one, it's an amazing time to buy an owner-occupied multi-unit, FHA. Number two, make sure the highest wage earner is the sole borrower on your primary residency. Number three, learn from Warren Buffett. Don't buy more house than what you can afford. Tip number four, stick to a personal and business budget. Okay, this property, knowing what I know now, I bought this property from an investor named Kip Roth. Kip Roth no longer lives in Utah. He lives in North Carolina. I bought this property 2 days before the auction sale. Okay, so what I would have done differently, I would have asked for a reinstatement on the payoff. If I asked for a reinstatement in the payoff, I would have then brought the mortgage current, bought it subject to, and flipped the property or kept it as a rental. But I didn't think about that until after I bought it. I got a hard money loan, closed on it in 2 days, fixed up, and ended up selling it. Okay, so here's a question for you guys. Would you guys have rather, hypothetically, bought it subject to, or would you rather have bought a hard money loan? Let's see what you guys come up with. Type in some answers. I like that we're all participating. And then we'll keep going about financing because these are different deals that you guys are going to get access to if you just are keeping your eyes peeled, okay? Got a bunch of subject to, please, subject to, subject to, subject to. Depends on how much is needed. Good, I like that one. You lost me. That's okay. Subject to, I don't know. Subject to, mofo. Subject to. All right, good. We're making some awesome progress. Okay, so tip number 6. Okay, scrolling, moving on up. I like the comment. Depends on how much money you'd have to bring to close. So here's what I would have done real quick. I had to bring 20 to close or get a hard money loan. I would have got 20 to close, and I would have actually bought the property in a self-directed retirement account, knowing what I know now. I would have fixed it up for a little bit. I would have done a lease option for 12 months and then sold the property to that buyer. And I would have probably took my $20,000 and bumped it to a quick 50K. But I didn't know that. And that's the cool thing is I'm sharing all these different things that you guys can do or learn. And that's why we jumped on this call for you. And if that's over your head, that's good because I didn't even know what I just said right now when I did this 9 years ago, right? So it's all about impressions and making progress. And I will plug in MJ Real Consulting right there. That was a really good one. All right, cool. Number 6. Totally over my head. That's okay. Number 6, if you're self-employed and have your business pay your car payments for 12 months before obtaining financing. Okay, so what does that mean? So quick example. I see people are eating lunch. Man, I'm freaking hungry. I'm going to have a drink real quick. So if not any cocktails, that's for Thursdays. So if you're self-employed and have a business, here's what we do. U.S. Bank will actually finance car loans attached to your EIN number. EIN number. Does anyone know what EIN number stands for? Type it in real quick. The first one that answers will get a prize. Let's see. Employment identification number. Woo, that was quick. I got two that showed up at the same time. Awesome job. The prize is a breath of life. You guys like that prize? That's a great prize. Okay. So what we'll keep doing. So here's what happens. You apply for your auto loan. So let's say Dan Liu, who's got a I'll take a shirt. You gotta do some stuff to get a shirt. Let's say Dan Liu's like, cool, I am a real estate guru now while I'm still a doctor. And I want to get an auto loan, and I want my auto loan to be paid by my business. So he'll probably have a meeting with his corporate meetings, and he writes out some notes, and he's going to go buy a used BMW. I've actually selling my 2005 BMW 335 Xi. If you guys are interested, it's got all of my germs in it, and so you can get a lot of good things with that. So if you guys are interested in my BMW, let me know. It's got good luck. So with that, you buy the BMW. You're then going to go get a loan from U.S. Bank. Here's what you have to do. You got to get the title in the name of your entity. Please write this down. So a lot of people do this wrong. You got to get the title to the name of your entity. Number two, you're going to want to get insurance in the name of your entity. Number three is you'll want to take the title and the insurance to the banker when you apply for the loan. The loan is going to be based on your personal credit. If you guys can mute yourself, please, that'd be awesome. The loan will be based on your personal credit, but it's going to be it'll be financed with your EIN with what's called a Dun and Bradstreet credit report. This is an amazing way to have automobiles being financed from your business, and you make your payments out of your business account. Then you can work out the taxes with your CPA later. So, cool example with that. So the last 4 automobiles that I've purchased are all business vehicles. And if you guys will notice, I have very detailed license plate covers for marketing. Does anyone know my current license plate on my car? If you guys type it in, you'll get a prize. Type in current license plate. Oh, you're so fast. Good. Does anyone know my previous license plate? This is for branding. Previous license plate for the car I'm going to be selling to someone on here. Good. 200 by 40. So, scenario with this one. This property I purchased from an investor that this is the first and not the last property that I bought that I actually got paid $3,000 at closing to buy the property from the seller. The reason I got $3,000 at closing from the seller is the seller actually wrote a $5,000 check to the wholesaler because the seller did not want to do a short sell, okay? They did not want to do a short sell. If they did a short sell, they would potentially lose their job because they had to maintain a high credit score based on the clearance job that they had before, okay? So what we did, I was like, holy shit. I got paid to buy this house. This is awesome. Well, obviously it needed a lot of work, okay? Needed a lot of work, but we bought the property, seller financing. I kept it for about 7 years, and I actually just barely sold it last year. So these are the different tricks or trades that you guys can do as real estate investing right now to leverage your credit to be able to get better financing in the future, okay? So what's cool, actually, our roofer who's watching this call fixed this roof, and we bought the property for like $130,000, give or take, and just sold it for $230,000 last year. So not these amazing margins, but 10 years later, the values do go up, and let's say my initial $20,000 of operating expenses. So here's a good exercise if you guys want to type this in. This is for Dawn Ray Wheeler because she's going to use her phone. So Dawn Ray Wheeler, if you invested $20,000 and you yielded $100,000 in 10 years, what's your ROI? So grab your guys' phones or calculators. We got a lot of people who are good. I can tell they're looking down. So I know, Dawn Ray, you're so smart. You're doing it in your head. Here's a calculator, Dawn Ray. You see the calculator? You guys all see my calculator? All right, I'll quit picking on you. Keep showing up. Becca Summers is doing it. Good. Lynn's doing it. Tony Hellman, he's got an MBA. You guys know what MBA stands for? A major bank account. Drop the mic. Major bank account. I'm just going to pay for an MBA. Dan Liu knows I've got an MBA because he's eating chicken nuggets while we're talking on the phone. So back to the question for you guys. We got 20 minutes left. Want to give you tons of information. If you invest $20,000 right now and in 10 years you yield $100,000 in your bank account, what is your ROI? I want you guys to type that in. If I knew these numbers 10 years ago, I'd have a lot more money and I'd probably not be doing these calls for free. You're welcome, Daryl. So back to your question. I'd still probably do it for free because I freaking love it. So back to your question. If you have $20,000 10 years ago in 2010 and I yield $100,000 cash in my pockets, what is my cash on cash return either in the 10 years or what is my cash on cash return annually? Everyone should be able to type this in. I'm okay if you're sitting in a car. Thank you that you think I'm a rock star. So I want you guys to type in what is your cash on cash return, because all of you guys need to know these numbers. We're having different conflicting numbers. So I'm waiting for Daryl's response, waiting for Jeff's response. Let's see, I'm waiting for Scott. Scott's smart enough to know how to do this. Waiting for Tony's response. Remember, he's got an MBA. Jordy's got red hair, so he's definitely going to be able to do it. Dan Liu, he knows how to do this. Harry knows how to do this. Eric knows how to do this. Quit playing with my phone, Eric. Nick's typing this in. What were the numbers again? Happy to share that again. Okay, so I have $20,000, and in 10 years, I'm going to give you $100,000. What is your cash on cash return in 10 years, and what is it annually? So I'm going to say it one more time. Right now is $20,000. So Dawn Ray Wheeler is going to give me $20,000 in her bank account, okay? And then in 10 years and in 2030, as long as I don't go to prison, as long as in 2030, hopefully this is recorded, this will be a good webinar. In 10 years, I yield or give Dawn Ray Wheeler $100,000 back. What is my cash on cash return? And knowing these numbers is important so then you guys can build up your own portfolios. Man, we have a lot of people who are afraid of putting themselves on the videos. You guys should all be on these videos. If I call you out, it's because I'm going to help you out. The more people that are on the videos, the better. Awesome. So we got different numbers. I'm going to share all of your guys' numbers. I'm going to show you guys all your guys' numbers. And then we're going to keep sharing on how to get financing in today's market, okay? 200. Jason said 200%. Michelle said 500%. Jordy said 17%. Eric said 17.46. Harry said 18. Eric said 400%. Nick said 20%. Harry said 17.46 compounded annually. Chris said plus or minus 400%. Hopefully you're plus or minus on listings. Tyler's 400%. All right, good. We're going to keep going. Tip number 7. This is a good speed for you guys. You guys thinking? You're learning? Can you get an amen? Type in amen. Come on. It's kind of getting churchy these days. We do live in Utah. And I got like 5 amens. What is the answer? Well, I need you to figure out the numbers. So I'm going to let you, there's some homework. I can't tell you everything. So here's tip number 7. Amen, Bishop. All right. So if you're self-employed, tip number 7. If you're self-employed, have a credit card attached to your EIN number for your business liabilities. So if you guys remember, we just talked about a couple minutes ago what an EIN number stands for. So here's my Jeff Braylio plug, and Jeff Braylio is going to pay for me to go to, where are we going next year? Columbia. Here's my Columbia Jeff Braylio plug, because I worked with Jeff on this deal. So here's a cool example. Jeff and I helped a real estate investor in 2007 buy this property, okay? Then 2 years later, because the market, oh, Jeff's not even paying attention. He's not even sitting in front of this freaking computer. That's awful. That's awful. All right, so see, good job for participating. So Jeff and I helped a realtor or a new investor buy this property at the peak of the market, 2007. And 2 years later, the rent started going down. It was a 2-bedroom, 1-bath house. The investor said, I don't want to deal with this any longer. I don't want to short sell. What can we do? Jeff, Bruce Hanson, good to see you. Jeff actually bought the property from the seller directly and bought it with seller financing, okay? So Jeff bought the property from the seller directly with seller financing. 2 more years go later, and Jeff said, "Oh, Don Ray, I need to run to another meeting. Goodbye." So Jeff said, "Matt, I'm done being a landlord. I'm done being a landlord. Do you want to buy this from me?" And I'm like, "Sure." He tells me a price, so I buy it from him. So I actually bought the entity instead of buying the property. So Linda and Kristen on the call, that's how Marathon Property Management got established. I bought the existing entity from the real estate investor, and by buying the entity, I bought the assets that were held by it. Okay? So the importance of attaching your business credit cards attached to your EIN is then you'll start learning how to navigate and make modifications on how to grow your credit and buy more assets. Now that was a pretty cool trick. So here's what happened. 2 years ago, I sold the property. I did a 1031 exchange, and I bought the fourplex that I showed you guys at the beginning. So I bought the fourplex on a 1031 exchange. So here's a cool illustration if you guys want to write this one down. Don Ray got upset because I kept calling her out. So if you put $25,000 into a property, which is how much I bought the property for, and you then you sell a property and you buy a new property, and the current value is 600,000. How much has your assets gone up? So I'm going to say it again. You take $25,000 out of your pocket and you buy a property with seller financing. Then you keep the property. Hi, Jeff, you're back. Then you keep the property, $25,000. You keep the property. You sell it. You do a 1031 exchange. You buy a new property, and the new value is 600,000. How much has your money gone up? So this is also in a 10-year period. So I want everyone to type this in of how much this money's gone up. We got 13 more minutes, ladies and gentlemen. If you can hold on, I'll hold on with you. So remember, $20,000 up front, bought the property. I bought the entity, seller financing, kept the property for about 10 years, sold the property, did a 1031 exchange. It's gone up to 600,000. How much has my ROI gone up? Now, ROI, that's what we're talking about. So in this example, if Daryl gives me $25,000 and he says, Matt, in 10 years, I want you to give me $600,000, how much did my ROI go up? Okay. So I know we're talking about the value. We don't know what the debt is. Yes, we're not talking about cash flow. I understand. I'm just giving you guys some really good illustrations, lots of good answer, but these are different calculations for you guys to be able to leverage your credit and your money to get in the financial freedom that you're looking for. So we got a lot. I want everyone to type this in one more time. Daryl gives me $25,000. 10 years later, I give him a check or a deed. How about a deed? I'll give you a deed, Daryl, for $600,000. How much did my money go up? This is the power of real estate investing and understanding how to utilize your credit. And if you don't know, just say, I don't know, because at least I'd rather you type in and participate versus just seeing it blank screens. One too many zeros on mine. All right, that's good. That's why we're participating. Okay, next comment. So that's the story of that property. And here's what's cool. All these properties are properties that I've owned or own. Tip number 8, make sure you have 6 months of PITI. PITI means principal, interest, taxes, and insurance for reserves for each finance property. Okay, I cannot emphasize how important this is more than ever right now. So here's what I do. I have 12 months of living expenses and savings sitting in a bank account doing nothing. My mortgage team was laughing. They're like, can we just do more loans like you? Because if you just have your living expenses sitting in savings doing nothing, it does 3 things for you. 1, it's easier to get qualifying for mortgages. 2, make sure your spouse way happier with you. Happy spouse is way more important than getting mortgages, okay? Because it's better than getting divorced. Number 3, happy spouse, you might have another kid like Dan Liu and Jordy just had, okay? So the comments with that, it's good to have liquidity. Comment with liquidity though, okay? Then you can buy more properties because then you can buy more seller financing, right? Now here's what's happening. Lenders, Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac, is getting more strict currently that they actually want to document reserves. I'm going to anticipate that they're going to get more strict, like more, because they want to see how much you guys have in assets to be able to get qualified. So a couple suggestions with that. If you have one bank account that you just don't touch no matter what, it just sits there, and I understand you want to have your money working for you, that's totally me, then just let the money sit in the account so that you can qualify. Tip number two, you can still use Roth IRAs, 401ks, stock bonds, or mutual funds for reserves, okay? So I'm okay with that. Here's my comment or concern with lines of credit. Home equity lines of credit have actually discontinued with Chase Bank as of last week. Other banks are reducing their line of credit loan to values. I don't think lines of credit will completely go away. I just think they're going to get more conservative because this is what happened last time. And at the end of the day, we don't want the banks to go out, right? So what's good with you guys is just to have liquidity or having lines of credit available so if you need it. So we're happy to help with lines of credit or reposition your equity. We got two more tips as we wrap up. So, cool question with this. This property, do interest bearing accounts count like a money market account? Yeah, I would say a money market account would count. Good question. So, this property we bought from a real estate investor that should be on this call, one of their newer agents. The newer agent actually called and said, "Hey, Matt, this property is a single family residency per the city, but it's totally a duplex. It's got two electrical meters, two gas meters, two separate entrances. You can tell by looking at the property. The left side of the property was the original property, and then there was an addition over time, right? So what's cool is we went through the process. We actually called the city. We talked them into making it what's called a non-conforming duplex. A non-conforming duplex means if the property burns down, you can rebuild it as a duplex. So here's a question for you guys. If you had a 2,600 square foot single family residency in West Valley, Utah that is nice, built in 1950, please write this down. This is a good exercise. I want you guys to comp it out after. We got Scott, Tony, Becca, Lynn, Jordy, Dan, Jeff, Daryl, Michelle. Good exercise. Harry, Nick, Bruce, Kristen, Linda, Eric with his hair, and Chris Edge. So write this down. So 2,600, this is your homework. 2,600 square foot home built in 1940. We're going to say 2,000 square feet are above grade, 600 square feet are in the basement. So that is totally different, okay? What is the value in a good condition as a single family residency? And then what is the value in good condition as a duplex? There definitely should be a difference of value. So when we were negotiating with this property, we had to do the same research that I'm sharing with you. We determined if we bought it as a single, we're okay. And if we bought it as a duplex, we got more money. So we closed on it. Then we got the approval from the city and it became as a duplex. So this is where you guys are going to make a lot more money by knowing how to do different things like this. Tip number 9, review your capital improvements versus repairs on rental income, but by the end of the year. So what does that mean? You're going to actually want to review what your capital improvements are versus expenditures. I want to capital improve. What that means is, let's say you put on a new roof for $7,000. I want to carry that $7,000 improvement forward in the future to help offset future income. I don't want to just take it all that tax year. When I first started, I wanted to take it all that tax year. I don't want to do that any longer. I want to carry it forward in the future. I want future things to help offset my income. Would you guys all agree that all of you guys are planning to make more money every year? When you wake up every day, you're like, yeah, next year is going to be a better year than next year, right? Great. I'm glad you're raising your hand, Lynn. So we all want to make more money each year, so that's part of planning. So quick example in this property. This property was brought to us by a realtor who went on our bus tour. We called this the dead cat house. This house had a dead cat in the freezer. It's also, what's the baseball player's name? Gosh dang. What's the baseball player's name that they froze him? Ted Williams, okay? This is the Ted Williams house. They wanted to keep his body because he was such an amazing athlete, okay? So it's unfortunate that the cat didn't make it. But what's really cool with this property is you can see, that was a funny joke, that you can see we actually repainted the cabinets and put in new countertops, blah, 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 things like that. But what's important is if we kept this as a rental, we would have done capital improvements versus expensing all of it. So when you guys are reviewing your taxes, it's not all about, I want to pay the least amount of taxes possible. It's all about what tax efficiency can I do so I can get financing in the future, not just for this year, but in the year to come. Okay. Last comment, number 10. If you're self-employed, have your mortgage lender review your taxes before you file. Oh my hell, this is a pain in the ass if you guys do not have a mortgage professional competent to review your taxes before you file. Once you file your returns, we can't do anything after. I would say 75 to 80% of the time, there are multiple errors that will negatively affect your qualifying because the accountant, controller, CPA, whoever types it in, types things in the wrong spot, okay? So these are all these different tips that what we're doing for 2020 for all of our clients. So here's what I want to do for you guys with this house. This house is awesome. I bought this house from a wholesaler. The wholesaler sold it to me. I fixed it up, sold it to someone else, normal retail market. 3 years later, a wholesaler puts the property under contract, sells it back to me with seller financing with the subject to. We're now listing this property where this is a Section 8 tenant that's moving out this month, and we're listing this property in Kearns. Real estate is all relationship related. Because we're able to help a lot of different people out, they're able to leverage their finances and get in a better financial spot. So question for you guys, what is your best tip you learned today? Tips 1 through 10. If you guys don't mind typing it in, I'll stay on the call for another 3 minutes. And then I'm actually ask a couple of you guys questions. I'll unmute you. But what was your top tip for the day of these tips in 10? And then I want you, so if you guys can type that in real quick, what is your top tip? And I'm going to primarily pick people who I can see virtually. So good. Keep going. Ladies and gentlemen, keep going. Let's see. Lynn, are you still virtually here? Yep, you are. You unmute yourself. Share your top tip for a minute and reason why, please. You're still muted.
Okay,
awesome.
This is a 30-second story. So Janet and I are just married about 7.5 years. I had no idea when she brought to me her dowry that she had a huge loss carry forward. I had no idea what it was. I'll tell you what, I'm a huge fan now.
Awesome. Thank you for sharing. Becca Summers, what was your top tip and why?
I like number 10 because it totally makes sense. And I hadn't thought of that before. And I'm getting to that point where every dollar matters with how many I have financed.
Awesome. Good. Scott Williams, what's your top tip and why? Got to unmute yourself, buddy. You grab the mouse. Perfect. Awesome. Go ahead, Scott. Oh, I think we can't hear him. I can see his lips moving. We're going to go Bruce Hanson, top tip and why?
Well, you mentioned in number 2 that if you had the top earner as the primary or borrower for your primary residence, that you could have 10 mortgages. I didn't know that the limit was that high. I thought it was 4 mortgages per person.
Yeah. That means we needed to help you buy more income properties, Bruce, because we haven't helped you buy any for about 10 years. You're right. It used to get down. It was as tight as 4. So in 2008, when President Bush signed the Home Affordable Relief Program, or TARP money, that was actually not Obama. That was a bill that Bush passed. It was implemented when Obama became the president. Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac reduced the number of amount financed properties from 10 to 4. And that was a rule for about 4 to 5 years. And then they slowly extended it from 4 to 6. then 6 to 10, and then based on what your reserves are. So currently it's still 10. I think they'll keep it at 10. I don't think they'll reduce that. I just think they're going to require more reserves for borrowers.
All right. Well, I guess I'm back now then.
You're back. Shady's back again. Shady's back. Tell a friend. All right, we'll do one more question. Jeff, what was your top takeaway today? And then we'll have Daryl wrap it up.
As soon as I take a bite of a power bar. Number 10, definitely. And also, I would add into that, have your, actually you review your tax return before approving it. We often rely on other professionals to do the work for us. My CPA actually forgot to add $60,000 in income. And while that was an awesome mistake because I paid less in taxes, it lowers my AGI for mortgage qualifications. So double check everything and have it reviewed by your mortgage lender too.
Awesome. So, Daryl, as you come back on, guys, this was an awesome call. So basically, this was going to be a call for the Salt Lake Real Estate Investors Association Northern Luncheon, but they discontinued it for some reason for today. So where Daryl asked me to do this presentation about 3 months ago, I love talking about this, especially in these times. So this was a great opportunity for me to share. You guys, whatever's the most experienced mortgage professional that you know. Is there an age limit on 30-year mortgages? There's not, because of Equal Opportunity Act. You could be 90 years old, as long as you qualify, you can still get a 30-year mortgage. Good question. But couple things I want to share. I'm doing a private luncheon on Friday for real estate agents only. I'm going to talk about what changes you guys need to pivot in today's market. So if you're a realtor, you guys can contact Nick Crabtree at my office to register. That's only for realtors. I'm going to be on the radio show on Friday at K-Talk Radio. We're talking about how to transition and roll your money up. So I've had a lot of awesome opportunities for me to share with other individuals. I'm still doing coaching and consulting, and just there's a lot of not good information out there, and you guys got to get the right information so you can be most informed. So thank you very much. If you guys can do me a favor, please go on my Facebook and actually do what you learned today. There was about 60 people on the call. There's a lot of people that are in bad financial positions that they don't have the right information. And I'm happy to help as many people as possible based on leveraging technology like this, right? We were able to talk to 60 people literally to save me 30 minutes of 60 different conversations. And what you guys can do is do a Facebook video or do what you learned, tag some different real estate professionals. But there's just a lot of information that people need to be able to navigate. And it's so easily and fluid to do today, and we just want to be able to help as many people out. So thank you very much. Daryl, what was your top takeaway as we end this?
If I am self-employed to review my tax files with my mortgage lender, I just filed them 3 days ago, so that was good timing.
Oh, that's awesome. So, yeah, that's awesome. So when is the Realtor Luncheon webinar again? It's this Friday at 12 o'clock. You can call Nick at my office. Actually, if you're a realtor, just email me directly, and then I'll just get you in contact with him, because we are almost, I think we're capped out. We always know 10% won't show up, but we're going to cover a lot of different information for real estate agents specifically, because the agents need to know how to help you guys out as consumers. So thank you very much. Hope you guys have an amazing Wednesday afternoon. Thanks. Goodbye.
Awesome. Later. Thanks, guys, for joining. I will post this on my YouTube page, so if you want a copy of it, just email me. Everyone who signed up, I'll email as well. So take care.
Thanks, guys. Okay, bye-bye.